Tuesday, election day. Tuesday, trade deadline day. Tuesday, Jerry Jones speaks to local radio hosts day. And it's always fascinating when Jerry speaks to 105.3 The Fan.
Settle down just a little bit.
And the all-in season is taking on water. 3-5. And Dak Prescott is hurt. And the team's coming home after a bye and 2 consecutive losses on the road at San Francisco, at Atlanta. This is fresh off of an absolute spanking at home by the Detroit Lions before the bye. That's 3 losses in a row, and it could have been 4 if they didn't have a fourth quarter comeback in Pittsburgh on the Week 5 Sunday night. And then you look over the steering wheel and you see their first of 2 games against Philadelphia this weekend, and it's at home where the Cowboys are 0-3 this season, and a hard 0-3. The 3-point loss to Baltimore in Week 3 is, as they would say in rearview mirror speak, the object closer than it appears. The Ravens, just like the Saints in Week 2, and the Lions in Week 6, just obliterated the team before halftime, and that thing was over. Then there's another home game on a Monday night against Houston, and then at Washington, and you know the Commanders want to put the Cowboys' pelt on the wall. So here's the issue. It does appear Dak Prescott will not be the starting quarterback for those games. And certainly, maybe even on Thanksgiving Day against the Giants, certainly if the hamstring injury that knocked him out of Atlanta will place him on injured reserve, which is what Jerry Jones said is, if you will, likely to happen in his Tuesday chat on 105.3 The Fan.
Well, it's iffy, but it's extended period of time here, so I wouldn't dare make a prediction when it could be. It's likely we'll IR him, and so we'll see kind of how his rehab goes.
So it also begs the question, what now? 3-5, Dak's out, Cooper Rush is in, and Jerry did not go in the direction of the last time Cooper Rush was in, which is like, I'd love to have him give me the issues of a quarterback controversy. Remember that last time when Cooper Rush came in and he started performing very well, and it's just like, well, will Dak get his job back? And it's just like, get out of here with that noise. That's what a backup quarterback is supposed to do. When he's got to play 4 games, he wins you 4 games. Malik Willis played 2 games. He won them both in place of Jordan Love this year. And the Packers are 3 above 500, hitting their bye week in large part thanks to Malik Willis doing what a backup quarterback should do. And so now Cooper Rush, if he performs well in these weeks without Dak Prescott being out there, then guess what? We'll hear the same nonsense again, but Dak's going to get his gig back. And Jerry would love, I'm sure, to be in that position, even though he's he's not voicing it that way this time. But the question was, what are you going to do at trade deadline? Does this mean you're not going to be all in on that because Dak's out? And are you potentially pulling the plug and maybe even think of selling? Mike?
We're not selling. And so we will make that case. We're buying and not selling.
What does this team really need?
Well, we're going to have it from within to get where we all want to go. And we're going to have the ability to do it from within. We've really tightened that window with our record right now as far as our goals of getting in the playoffs and having a team that can really compete at the highest levels. We've added to that by losing our quarterback. So we're going to have to do something that's a storybook type of scenario.
So the Cowboys went and made a trade. And I know Cowboy fans are going to be like, yeah, so what? Because it's for a player who you might not have heard of in the Metroplex. And part of the reason why is he's a second-year player in Carolina, and last year was such an absolute dumpster fire on offense that you weren't going to hear at all about Jonathan Mingo, who was a second-round pick in the 2023 draft, 39th overall, which, as you know, is where players who contribute significantly reside, top of the second round. And, you know, that's where Keon Coleman was chosen by the Bills and things of that nature. And he's obviously done more than what Mingo did last year or even this year. 12 catches, 121 yards. That's it. One catch in his last 4 games. And in his short tenure in the NFL, only 2 games with at least 4 catches or more within it. So he's an unproven commodity professionally. Totally unproven. And I know Cowboys fans, you are flipping out because you haven't heard of Jonathan Mingo, and he hasn't done very much in the league. And the Cowboys flipped a 4th-round pick for him. They got a 7th as well from Carolina, but they flipped a 4th-round pick for him, which is more than what the Chiefs flipped for DeAndre Hopkins.
I was just about to say that. I don't get it.
Or more than what Carolina just got for Deontay Johnson from the Ravens. And I guess the reason why, and just to echo what Mike Garafolo said in hour number 1, is you're getting a second-year player with potential upside here. And that's what the Cowboys are banking on, is a kid who's never done it before, who they probably liked and had on the radar screen in the 2023 draft. And they're going to get him. And they're going to bring him in, and they're going to get him up to speed. And so the issue here is that they are banking on an upside we haven't seen yet from a player who hasn't done anything in a month for a team that was looking for any spark from any place for any reason over the last month, whether it's Andy Dalton or Bryce Young. He couldn't crack the lineup over this year's rookie receiver for them, Xavier Legette, who's riding the pony pretty well these days. And I'll see him in Germany. Jalen Coker, an undrafted rookie, and then a veteran from the 2017 draft, 7th round, David Moore, and couldn't get on the field even there. So Cowboys fans are going to be like, all right, that's their hope, that they're going to get some kid that they didn't get in the draft who hasn't done anything yet, and hope that he's going to learn the terminology and get up to speed and give him some big-time play against some hugely important opponents or hugely important games against some of the best opponents they're going to face all year long with the backup quarterback there. That is not a position of strength that you would look at it for an all-in season, but it is some of the only moves they got right now, apparently.
So put on your RES Consulting hat.
Thank you.
Now.
I will do so.
Or get out your magic 8-ball. Either one.
8-ball.
And what does this say about the season? Have they given up already?
No.
Are they building for next?
No.
Because if I'm a Cowboys fan and I'm still smarting off of the potential of having Derrick Henry and the offseason not being fulfilled the way I would have liked it to have been, and then you pick up a kid like this, are you feeling like this is a future move?
No, I think it's some of the only moves they have left, because I don't know what their thinking is, but you could have given up less for DeAndre Hopkins. You could have given up less for Deontay Johnson, and they didn't.
And you could have got Derrick Henry in the offseason.
Well, again, that ship has sailed. I'm sure they're sick and tired of hearing that.
Yes,
but that's I know. I hear you. And certainly since their current running back situation is Dalvin Cook returned to the practice squad, Rico Dowdle looking as good as he did in Atlanta, while Zeke Elliott was at home because of disciplinary reasons. And Jerry Jones had this to say in his appearance about Zeke Elliott getting back in there.
It's really pretty plain if you look at it. The rules that were addressed are really clear, and the attendant punishment is clear, and he'd be the first to tell you. And so that was it. And that running back room, it's quite a setback for any of those running backs not to get out there because they need their snaps and want their snaps. And you can get out there and get on a roll, as Rico did. Mm-hmm. And that is a step toward having a better season, both individually and for the team. So my point is, I've never seen a discipline matter any better aired for the world to see than Zeke's infraction. And but it was just for the game, and I look forward to seeing him back out there.
Well, and you and I and Amy Trask on What the Football had a very spirited conversation about disciplining players by not playing them, and how Amy has PTSD from Barrett Robbins being sat before the Super Bowl. And she's like, we could have disciplined him in other ways other than just sending our team out in the most important game for the first time all year without the same starting five up front against Warren Sapp and the Buccaneers. Okay. And how she wishes they handled it differently. When they being Bruce Allen and Bill Callahan. Mm-hmm. And how, we had a spirited discussion as well about me sitting here saying, well, is this a sign of disrespect for the head coach who hasn't been signed past this year? And thus kind of dovetailing with my whole thought about the all-in season has just been poorly managed from the get-go. And hearing what Jerry Jones had to say, and then Jane Slater's report on Sunday game day morning that Zeke has been distracted and has missed 3 meetings, including one on Friday, leading to the disciplinary matter. And then hearing Mike Garafolo in hour one saying that there's things going on in his life that, the Cowboys are understanding of, but you got to tune out to be a professional, and they had to suspend him, and they're hoping that this is now the end of it moving forward. That's kind of information speak of there's stuff going on with him, and maybe it isn't disrespect to Mike McCarthy, and there's stuff going on with him that they're trying to be really understanding of, bending over backwards, but couldn't do anything but keep him from going to Atlanta. So I'm kind of putting it all together here. We don't know everything. We're seeing just the tip of the iceberg like we usually do in sports.
Oh, no, there's a big story behind this. And to use your word with parlance, there's a different, there's something going on that we're unaware of.
Correct.
And it sounds like a personal issue,
yes,
right? And it has nothing to do with
McCarthy.
The fact that their coach wasn't signed to a long-term deal, because you tend to believe that that's a sign for the players.
It usually is, though, when
they don't believe in him, and it leaves like an opportunity for rancor within the locker room. Correct?
I know it. Yes, and I know this sounds like I'm trying to cover my tracks for being wrong, potentially on this front. But I don't mind being wrong. I'm always going to speak my mind. But if you don't sign your coach to a long-term contract and you have him go into a lame duck year, and these things happen, the first assumption is going to be my assumption, as wrong as it may be. Cowboys coming back to take the Eagles on with Cooper Rush and a banged-up CeeDee Lamb. Hopefully Micah Parsons back. Hopefully Deron Bland coming back. Hopefully Jonathan Mingo picking up the lingo fast. That's the state of the all-in Cowboys entering Week 10. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku Channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.